All right, thanks a lot. So I guess I'm the last one keeping everyone from like drinks and Easter celebration and everything. So thanks a lot for still being here. And yeah, basically today what I want to cover is to showcase how we took one of the projects like Agentic AI, basically before it was the hype for Agentic AI, from pure research work to actually something that can be enjoyed by millions of players today. Who have heard of Gran Turismo 7, the racing game? Okay, quite a few of you, and hopefully quite a few of you get to enjoy the game. And just for those that might not be familiar with it, it's probably one of the most realistic racing simulators that exists. So as you can see here, as a proof of that, we actually had one of the colleagues from PlayStation, from Sony Interactive Entertainment, take his actual physical car on a racetrack and map it exactly to the game. And as you can see, it's actually the whole goal of the game is so that you not only have very realistic visuals, but the whole driving experience is as close as it gets probably in gaming to the real world experience. So basically like the physics, the traction, weather conditions, visuals, everything. And maybe some of you have seen also the Gran Turismo movie, and that showcases quite well that even the players that train purely in the simulation can actually take the real car on a racetrack and win races. So that's kind of the goal behind this game, to really bring the real driving experience to you. And what we did at Sony AI, basically we thought, okay, you usually in the games have these bots that you can race against, and it can be interesting, but sometimes, it's not as exciting, and you can choose like the difficulty levels and so on, but it's not always matching exactly like your skills. So the goal of our research was to actually explore, can we create an AI agent that can always be a little bit better than you, no matter how good you are, and actually beat the top players of Gran Turismo in the world. And here you can see in the short video, so that's the result of the research work. The black Porsche here is actually the AI agent driving against really advanced human players. And we successfully managed to actually develop the agent to the level that Nature paper was happy to do a publication on it. So basically it was really the breakthrough innovation at the time in 2022. And to achieve that, you actually have to tackle not only like training the agent, but actually take many of different aspects into consideration. So for example, first of all, you start, of course, with the control of the race car, but you don't have a single car. Same as humans, you have to adapt to different cars, different dynamics, basically acceleration and so on, raced on different racetracks under different conditions and so on. But at the same time, it's not a single car doing the racing. So you basically race against other bots, but also human drivers. Humans are probably the most unpredictable part in our world as well. So you really have to adapt, and you also don't want this racer to be too aggressive or too lenient. So you really want to make sure that, as we call the racing etiquette, is being kept. That means that the racing can be quite exciting and interesting. And you can do a lot of research projects basically quite isolated, but in this case, because you integrate the agent with a real game and deploy on the consoles. So for example, if you have PS5, so that means we really had to build a very close partnership, not only within Sony, but also with Polyphony Digital, which is creators of Gran Turismo, and also with the Sony Interactive Entertainment, or so-called PlayStation, because we had to use and deploy on their hardware and actually train on the clusters, which were actually PlayStation consoles. Once we achieved actual results in isolated environment, and we claimed that, okay, we can actually beat the top drivers in the world in the game, we wanted to prove it, that it's not somehow, the sandbox environment and isolated. So we organized actually a public event, like 2 of them, called Race Together Overview, where we hosted virtual races and invited really the top players of Gran Turismo 7. Basically allowed our GT Sophy, the superhuman AI bot, to race against the players in the live event on the 3 tracks using the typical scoring system in the racing simulation. What happened was actually that GT Sophy scored double amount of points compared to the closest top player. And that was really like a nice proof that you can really push the limits by utilizing similar conditions, as the players use, like understanding the car dynamics and everything that I mentioned. The core aspect is, if you are enjoying the game, it definitely has to be enjoyable. So the next task was to really understand how did it feel for competitors to race against this bot, and what did they experience. So we can listen quickly for Emily Jones.
It was really interesting seeing the lines where the AI would go. So there were certain corners that I was going out wide and then cutting back in, and the AI was going like in the whole way around. So I learnt a lot about the lines and also knowing what to prioritize. Like the AI into turn one, for example, I was braking later than the AI, but the AI would get a much better exit than me and beat me to the next corner. So I didn't notice that until I saw the AI, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I should do that instead.
That's pretty amazing, right? Because it's not only that you get this competitor, but actually it shows like other techniques, other approaches that humans can actually learn and improve and test the new tactics, because it was all based on like deep reinforcement learning to like adapt and train the agent and also adapt to the human drivers racing against it. And such feedback from many different racers actually motivated us that, okay, let's not finish it at the research level. Let's try to bring that to a product that can be enjoyed by everyone. And that's exactly since the publication. The next 3 years will really focus on that. How can we deploy this agent from lab environment to really everyone who has PS5 today to enjoy it actually and to test it and experience firsthand. And basically we managed to pull it off. It was released a couple of years ago as the first version, and then we continuously iterated with the feedback from players, with including more tracks, basically adapting different behavior, adapting also to your level of this. And the latest release was actually end of 2025, so quite recent, a couple of months ago. And it constantly keeps on improving because the feedback has been phenomenal. The game is released a couple of years ago, but the engagement is actually increasing, partly thanks not only to the new cars being released, but the new experience is being released thanks to this GT Sophy. And we also checked the professional reviews, and it was really positive feedback, showcasing that, okay, this is really some potential that you can adapt in many different domains, not only gaming, but actually to like fine tune for specific applications. And you can always kind of discover something new in this direction. This is one example where we optimized the agent for drifting use cases. So it was really like this old red Lambo Countach racing at super high speed and drifting throughout the whole track with like 360 turns and so on. So you can really get creative with these environments and kind of figure out new applications, new use cases. And I think that's what we should try to explore instead of creating the new large models, but really target specific applications and adaptations. So just a few words about Sony AI. So we're a corporate R&D organization with over 200 members focusing on really novel R&D with some offices around the world, including Zurich, but mainly like remote first organizations, so really distributed around the world. And besides GT Sophy that I just presented, we also look at different aspects. So AI for creators, like creators economy, also scientific discovery, imaging and sensing. Sensor is big business for Sony. Also robotics. And as the center of all is really AI ethics. So we have a fully dedicated team for that. And I think it's touching upon many points that were discussed in the panel and previous presentations also when it comes to like fairness and non-bias. And we actually hosted one of the hackathons as well at GenAI Zürich on Phoebe, the tool that probably the only tool that you can actually evaluate the fairness and bias of human-centric AI. Because if you don't know that you have a problem, you cannot really solve it. So really also try to put the development kind of based on that. And if you want to find out more about GT Sophy, how to download it, also technical details, if you're like with a technical background, feel free to scan this QR code, or also happy to connect with many amazing other speakers and attendees as well. So thank you very much.